but we thought it would be prudent that it's discussing that we're going to underground the canal adjacent to the phases. Maybe we just add language or relocate in case that becomes an option or viable. I don't think it's going to be for phase number 1 based on timelines we've heard today, but they're really anxious to try to do something. And I know that the relocating or rerouting of certain canals goes into benefit, I think, via Avenue and some other streets that the city is interested in seeing improved. So our suggestion in number 24 is that maybe language could be added as an alternative. It's either underground or it's going to be relocated, although we're really not sure the relocation is going to work for phase 1.
Let me ask you this, Mr. Rose. If it was relocated, why wouldn't the applicant be required to just, doesn't it still have to be underground?
No, we would then probably be participating in the cost of the relocation instead of the underground.
I guess I'm not convinced. I mean, I'm convinced relocating, you're not relocating a mile away.
Actually, it's going to be some distance to the north is the preliminary plan that the IB shared with all of us today. They're looking at, again, eliminating part of this north gate that comes along the south next to Via from, I believe it was Bush Street to 8th Street. Yes. That would eliminate that, and then it goes north along the side of the project here to a location that would be further north, and then it would backfeed what is being agriculturally served east of us. And again, that's one of the plans that the district is looking at in trying to eliminate canals that someday will no longer have a use and have to be either maintained or filled up or whatever. So they've been working on this, and they had some program dollars coming in next year that they were going to be able to spend.
Well, since that is kind of in theory at this point, yes, why couldn't the condition be approved as is, and you can always come back based on a reliable plan from the IID and ask for that condition to be changed?
And we could, but I just wanted to say
we have a history in the city of having concerns with this undergrounding canal issue, and I think, and I'll speak a little boldly on behalf of my colleagues, that I think we'd be reticent to approve any modification in the condition with just that general knowledge that the IID is looking at it, because we've ran into some issues in the past on these underground canals, very focused on getting them underground, especially around housing. So now, based on what you said, and I see Mr. Hagan shaking his head in regard to some of your IID discussions, certainly I think if a legitimate plan was approved by the IID, it would be something that the applicant could come back and say, based on this approved plan by the IID, we need to modify that condition.
And that would be fine. I just wanted to expose that to you today, that did come forward. And if you include it today, fine. If you want us to come back when there's a real plan, that's okay too.
Thank you, sir. Any additional public comment at this time? Okay, we're going to close the public hearing and go back to the council for additional comments or questions. Ms. Sanders?
I have no additional questions, Mr. Mayor. I think the issues that have been surfaced either by Mrs. Walker or brought forward by yourself or Mr. Javert is certainly nice kind of questions that I would have had. I'm not for the question.
Thank you, Ms. Walker.
I have some real concerns with the way the conditions have been amended, because I think it makes it way too easy for the applicant to simply walk away without completing phase 2. The city is then left with impacts in that area without having received from the applicant a fair share contribution. I'd like to draw council's attention to amendments to condition number 2, where that is tied to the issuance of a certificate of occupancy under phase 2, which is when they contribute a fair share towards the widening of 8th Street from 8th to the northern project boundary. If in fact the applicant does not go forward with phase 2, then does that mean that the city has lost out on any contribution whatsoever by the applicant for that fair share contribution? Same comment with regard to the amendment to get condition number 3. Anytime we have tied these specifically to phase number 2, it allows the applicant to go forward with phase number 1 that the city's already ponied up a big chunk of change for, and leaves the applicant, not that they might be considering this, but leaves the applicant free and clear to walk away from, in a very tough economy, something that we're relying on for infrastructure improvements in this area. I cannot, in good conscience, build low-income housing and then that area receives the traffic improvements, the sidewalk improvements, the aesthetic improvements that we should afford any area of our city. And that comment holds true as well for the block wall. And help me with that. That is number 9. We know that this project is going to back right up to a railroad track. Why would we want it to make it any more accessible to young people, children that are going to be living in that area, and allow the applicant to walk away without having that wall up and constructed? I just think it's a disservice to basic conditions in this way, and for that reason, I just cannot vote in favor.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Wong. Mr. Silva?
What will be, I was going to ask a question in regard to the wall, but I'll wait a little bit for that. What will be the alternative as opposed to tying these improvements to a certificate of occupancy for phase 2?
The analysis that was conducted basically says that these improvements will not be needed until this happens. So this was taken, this is a result of the analysis, that is traffic study analysis. Basically, phase 2, under phase 2, if phase 2 never happens, then according to the traffic analysis, the traffic impact will not be there. So then the mitigation measure is not necessary. Now, once phase 2 gets developed, or the first certificate of occupancy is triggered, then the traffic impact will be there, and that's where the mitigation measure occurs.
So just so that's so I'm clear on that, we're thinking that we're going to put up a 72-unit apartment, multi-family apartment complex, and not trigger any traffic impact. Because if we look at the way this condition was originally stated, and looking now at page 11, it was exactly the same percentage, 14.1%, towards the widening of 8th Street from Eaton Road. So we're basically saying we're going to go ahead and construct 72 apartments, and it's not going to have any impact. I guess I have a hard time getting my mind around that.
The original condition, the way it read, it said prior to the final recognition of the final map. It did not take into account phase 1 and phase 2, so it was more of a general condition.
What she's saying, Ms. Viacani, is that under the original condition, when this was a single-phase project, one map, it said 14.1% towards widening 8th Street. Now that it's being broken down into 2, she's questioning why the 14.1% contribution is only triggered by phase 2. In other words, what she's saying is there's no impact whatsoever based on the report we're receiving by the traffic created by 72 units. And that's what she's questioning. I'm not disagreeing with you how you wrote the report.
Maybe
the traffic engineer could explain that.
I'd like to clarify a little bit. Basically, the project itself doesn't generate a lot of traffic, and there are no direct impacts based on the project. And that includes phase 1, it's built for phase 1 and phase 2. The impacts are cumulative in this case. So, and the analysis conducted, we assume 10 cumulative projects. It's really the background growth that's going to be induced in the future that really triggers these cumulative impacts. The project itself has no direct impacts, where you look at a phase 1 or a project built out.
But regardless, whether or not it's cumulative or not, everyone should be required to pay their share for the impacts that they have in that area. Do you agree with that?
Correct.
Okay. So the 14.1 stands whether or not we do it in phases or whether we do it a section at a time. That is the fair share that should be contributed.
Correct.
My concern is that we've shifted that entire burden to phase 2. And yet there still will be cumulative impacts by the multifamily housing going on.
Well, as you mentioned, we didn't analyze it, future conditions, just phase 1. It's just a cumulative impact. We assume that it wasn't phased when we originally analyzed it.
Okay, thanks, sir. Mr. Silva, additional comments, questions?
Yeah, I want to touch base in regards to the wall.